How's it going, comic book fans? Welcome back to Comic Drops. Today we're diving into Stray Dogs, Dog Days, issue number 1, written by Tony Fleece with art by Trish Forstner and colors by Brad Simpson. This issue is structured through a series of vignettes, each giving us a deeper look into the dogs' lives before they ended up in the Master's house. The tension and sadness from the original series are still very much present here, and fans of Stray Dogs will find a lot to appreciate. It's a chilling yet emotional ride that reveals more about the tragic fates of the dog's owners and the lives these pets once had. So how does Imogene end up at the Master's house? What does Killer find buried under the porch? And which dog was a social media superstar? Stay tuned to find out. The comic begins with a vignette about Killer, a pug who is immediately on edge. He hears a truck in the driveway and panics, repeatedly shouting, "It's the monster." He rushes downstairs to warn his owner, who has her earbuds in and doesn't hear him. The tension builds as Killer frantically tries to protect her, barking at the front door as he prepares for what he thinks is impending doom. The door opens, but it's just a woman carrying laundry. Killer then relaxes for a moment, smiles, and says, "It's my girl." But then, in a great twist, the real monster turns out to be a teenage boy named David, who runs into the house, grabs Killer, and smothers him in cuddles. The fear immediately disappears as Killer realizes it's just the cuddle monster, and the scene ends with the family getting ready for dinner. In terms of visuals, Trish Forstner's artwork excels at conveying Killer's emotional roller coaster. You can almost feel his fear and anxiety through his highly expressive face and body language, and then the instant relief and joy when he sees David. The pacing of this sequence, paired with Forstner's clean, animation-inspired style, gives the scene a dynamic flow. It's a brilliant example of how this art style plays with tone, balancing between dread and lightheartedness effortlessly. Next we have Gucci, a Chihuahua who lives a glamorous life as a social media star. Her story is told entirely through Instagram-like posts from her owner's account. We see her in fancy sweaters, walking on the beach during a sunset in Belize, and looking fabulous in a stylish collar. The playful tone quickly becomes more sinister, however, when a photo shows Gucci standing on a table with her owner, but the person holding the picture is revealed to be the Master. An ominous reminder for readers that he takes pictures of his potential victims. The final Instagram post is a chilling message from Stephanie's sister, pleading for information about Stephanie and Gucci's whereabouts. This confirms that Gucci's owner was one of the Master's victims, and it's implied that one of the bodies buried beneath his porch may have been hers. Visually, this vignette shines in its subtlety. The upbeat and energetic colors Brad Simpson uses for Gucci's glamorous life stand in sharp contrast to the grim reality of the story. Simpson uses a red tint in the close-up of the photograph as well, signaling danger and foreshadowing Gucci's tragic fate. Forstner's work on Gucci is fantastic, capturing the Chihuahua's diva-like personality through her poses, while the layout of the Instagram posts immerses readers in the narrative style of social media, right up until it's disrupted by the terrifying realization of what's actually happening. Then we move on to Aldo, a mixed breed dog with an interesting, darker vignette. Aldo is playing in the Master's backyard with Killer and Victor, and he's excited about showing them a special stick he found in a cardboard box. The others are impressed, and Victor wants to trade his tennis ball for Aldo's stick. However, things take a darker turn when Killer begins digging under the porch and brings back a human leg bone to trade for Aldo's stick. Both Aldo and Victor are disgusted, but Killer is oblivious to the horror of his special find. Aldo refuses to trade, and the story ends with Killer still proudly carrying his leg bone around, unaware of its gruesome origin, while Victor offers his tennis ball again for Aldo's stick. Forstner's art in Aldo's vignette does an excellent job of balancing the innocence of the dog's interactions with the morbid reality of their environment. Aldo's expressions of joy and pride in his stick are perfectly conveyed, while the horror of Killer's leg bone is portrayed with an eerie casualness. The bright colors used by Simpson during the playful scenes contrast sharply with the darker undertones of the bone reveal, and there's no direct red signal here. Instead, the horror sneaks up on you in a more subdued yet effective way. Next, we have the heartbreaking story of Henry the Bull Terrier. He's constantly bullied by a cat that scratches him, takes his sleeping spots, and even torments him during Halloween and Christmas. At first, this seems like a humorous tale of a rivalry between pets, but it quickly shifts gears when the master murders Henry's owner. Henry is locked in his pet carrier, helpless, as we see the master strangle his owner. A red glow from within the house hints at the violence taking place. Henry barks from inside the carrier, but it's all in vain, and the final shot of the cat lying in Henry's spot, now sad, realizing the gravity of what has happened, is heartbreaking. The visuals here are stunningly emotional. Forstner captures Henry's sadness and panic perfectly, while Simpson's red glow becomes a motif for danger. The decision to focus on Henry's expressions, rather than the violent act itself, makes the scene even more poignant. Simpson's use of color once again enhances the mood, especially with the ominous red lighting signaling the master's deadly presence. Next, Imogene's vignette follows her as a wild Tibetan Mastiff puppy full of energy. She wakes her owner up in the early morning, knocks over her food bowl, and is always excited, jumping all over her owner. They go to the dog park where Imogene plays happily with the other dogs. But in the background, we see a lost dog poster for Earl from the original series that foreshadows darker events to come. Later that night, the master breaks into her home, and we don't see the violence, but yet again, we see the red glow from the window as he murders her owner. Imogene, who started as a carefree puppy, is shown in the master's house at the end, lying in the same corner of the living room as she grows older, her once energetic spirit now broken. The art team does amazing work here. Forstner's depiction of Imogene's energy is full of life, and Simpson's bright daytime colors give way to the dark reds and blues of the nighttime scene when the master strikes. The contrast between the playful innocence of the dog park scene and the menacing atmosphere of the home invasion is striking. The decision to show Imogene silently growing over time in the master's house, her spirit visibly crushed, is devastating. And finally, we have Roxanne, an Alaskan Malamute whose story begins with her owner thinking there's an intruder in the house. In a humorous turn, we find out that Roxanne is the one causing the chaos, knocking over plants and the trash. But as the story progresses, we encounter the master in a more subtle but no less terrifying way. Roxanne's owner takes her to the groomer, where she crosses paths with the master, who has Rusty on a red leash, the same leash he uses when he punishes the dogs. The final image of Roxanne looking out of the window, with the master's reflection behind her, is a haunting visual that lingers, leaving us with a sense of dread for what's to come. Once again, the visuals deliver the perfect mix of lightheartedness and a sinister atmosphere. Forstner's playful artwork during Roxanne's house destruction creates a nice contrast with the tension in the grooming scene. The reflection of the master in the window is especially chilling, hinting at the danger lurking beneath the surface. Simpson's use of the red leash as a symbol of death and punishment is subtle but effective, making the color an ominous reminder of the master's malevolent presence. Overall, Stray Dogs Dog Days issue number 1 is a perfect extension of the original series, giving fans more insight into the tragic backstories of the dogs we've come to know and care about. Fleece's storytelling is heart-wrenching, and Forstner and Simpson's visual work is equally compelling, using expressive characters and vibrant yet haunting colors to elevate the emotional weight of each vignette. From Killer's anxious relief to Gucci's luxurious life turned dark, to the subtle use of red to indicate danger, this issue is a masterclass in visual storytelling. If you haven't read the original Stray Dogs series, make sure to do that first before diving into Dog Days. The impact of these stories is much stronger if you've already experienced the original series. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below with your thoughts on this issue. Which dog's story hit you the hardest? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for checking out Comic Drops, and we'll see you in the next one.